department. And I got a call one day from a guy who says, hey, I've got your catalog in front of me and I think it's really cool. I said, okay, great. You want to order something? He says, no, actually, I want to put you on the internet. And this is 1994. And I said to him, well, what's the internet? And he says, well, the internet is great, and 40 million people are going to come to the internet, and everybody in the world is going to be on this internet thing. And he started talking about email, and well, what's email? And he had to kind of talk me through it. So I ended up, I said, well, what are you proposing? He said, because he explained the internet concept to me. I said, great. I wouldn't have to ship catalogs because my catalog would be online and available to 40 million people. And I wouldn't have to ship the books because they'd be able to download them. And those are my biggest expenses, printing and postage. So what do I need to do? He says, well, you're going to go into this Tar Heel Mall, and we're going to be the biggest thing on the internet. We're going to sell all sorts of products. And I said, well, what does it cost me? He says, well, it'll be $50 set up and then 5%. And after a year, it'll be a minimum $50 a month. I said, okay, fine. So he put me on the internet, and I got on the internet. I went out and literally bought a computer, and I pieced it together from what we could find. I think I spent about $200 to piece together this computer. Didn't even have a color monitor. And plugged in, I saw there was my catalog. I'm like, oh, great, you know. So nobody came, and nobody came. So we continued to build the business through the traditional methods and running classified ads. And a year went by, and a year goes by pretty quickly. And I get a call from this guy. He says, hey, yeah, this is Harold from the Tar Heel Mall. And he says, you know, you're going to need to start paying your minimum of $50 a month next month. And I said, well, I haven't gotten any sales. This hasn't done anything for me. And he says, well, has anybody been to your website? I said, I don't know. Can you check that? So that was 1995. Can you check that? And he says, sure, we have logs. And I said, well, there was one person there yesterday, and there was 2 people on Sunday, and 1 the day before that. And I said, well, that was me. Just updating it to make sure it's still alive. So he says, well, you know, I said, well, how do I get people? You told me 40 million people are going to be coming to my website, and they're not there. I'm there. And he said, I said, well, what do you do to get people to your website? Well, you know, you have to, you know, put it in the newspaper, and you have to put it on business cards and leave it on people's windshield. And he gave me all these ideas. I just went, you know, I don't think so. It just doesn't sound right. So I started to think about, well, how do I get online, and how do I search for things online? And there was this new directory called Yahoo. And I went to this Yahoo directory, which was pretty sparse, run by a couple of kids up at Stanford. And I got on there, and there was no way to put my website on there. So I sent an email to the webmaster. And he sends me an email back. And he says, well, you know, send me a copy of your catalog. And I sent him a copy of the catalog. He goes, show me the web page. And I showed him the web page. And he said, call me. And I called him, traded a few phone calls, because I'm calling a dorm phone. And back then, they didn't all have cell phones, and they shared a wall phone, believe it or not. So I talked to the webmaster, and Jerry Yang. And Jerry Yang tells me, oh, this is pretty cool what you're doing here. Yeah, we'll put you on Yahoo tomorrow morning. I said, okay, great, thank you very much. And of course, Jerry Yang was nobody, I was nobody, we were all nobodies. And next morning, I look on Yahoo, hey, I'm listed in business opportunities and home-based business category. And I was literally the first one there. And funny thing happened. The next day, I got an order. And then the next day, I got 2 orders. And I said, wow, this is cool. It's actually working. People are ordering my products online. So what else can I do? So I started to get up every morning. I said, well, where else can I get linked up? And I went to all these arcane pre-Google days search engines and directories. And there was AliWeb and AltaVista and Lycos, and there were many of them. But day by day, the traffic on my website started to increase, and I started to be able to take my business completely online. And then I had been listed in about 50 or 60 different directories. And then my wife gave me a great idea. She says, well, if you're going to need it, everybody's going to need it. I said, yeah, you're right. Well, I've got this gal Yvette that works for me. She's my only employee. She could probably repeat what took me hundreds of hours to do on behalf of a business and get on the computer and fill out forms on behalf of the client. And she could repeat that in probably 2-3 hours. I pay her $15 an hour. I'll charge $89 for 50 directors. So I put together a website, AAA Internet Promotions, because believe it or not, back in those days in the internet, that was SEO. AAA got you right to the top of Yahoo, got you right to the top of all these directories.